Last year, I wanted to make a documentary with no budget and truly to learn the process, and I've always loved documentaries, watching them and just seeing how they're made, and I watch tons of videos just like this on YouTube of people making low-budget documentaries themselves. And when my friend Dan posted that he was doing a comedy festival and that it was going to be the first year that there's been a comedy festival in his small town, okay, that's what I have to do. I have to fly there and I have to make this documentary. So I called up Dan as soon as he announced it and I said, hey man, can I stay on your couch and can I film you for the entire week? I just want to see what's behind the scenes of making a festival and what it's like having a festival in a small town, and I want to interview you and I want to interview the comedians, and I just really want it to be about the festival and what it's like the first year. And of course Dan said yes. He was so kind, let me stay on his couch, and I flew out, but I only brought the equipment that I already own. I didn't buy anything new for this documentary. And in a moment, I'll get into all the things that I brought with me and what I think of them. And then, of course, I want to cover what I would do differently now that I have done that documentary. And I love how it turned out, but there is some things I would definitely do differently. So before I even flew out there, before I even bought my plane ticket, I was just on my phone late at night, just writing out questions I wanted to ask Dan and the other founders of, everything of like what happens if a venue drops out. Are you planning on making money? What made you do this? Why the small town? Why these comedians? I just really want to sit down with all of them and have really thoughtful questions. So I spent a long time really thinking about the questions I wanted to ask them. And then I had a separate note in my phone of just different B-roll ideas, different timeline concepts, and really what I was thinking the documentary would look like and how long I want it to be. And just so I knew when I got there, I had a game plan. Because I knew getting into this project was going to be big, there's going to be a lot of ups and downs, but also none of us really know what's going to happen. The founders, they don't know how it's going to go. They don't know if the shows are going to be sold out. They don't know if the comedians are not going to be able to make it. They don't know if flights are going to be canceled. They don't know any of this stuff, right? It's an event that's happening multiple days, so many shows, and we're really taking over the town. So once I had a game plan, I had my plane tickets, I got there, I set up camp in Dan's living room, and these are the tools that I brought with me. I brought the only camera that I owned at the time, the Canon M50, and it's the first version, it's not even the second release of the M50. And with the M50, I brought two lenses. And funny enough, I actually used one lens way more than the other. I just loved how it was letting in the light. I loved how it was feeling up close. And that was the Pancake 40mm lens. The other lens that I brought with me was actually the lens that my Canon M50 came with. It's the 15 to 45mm, and I did buy an ND filter a while back that I used, a cheap one just on Amazon, probably like 20 bucks, but it actually ended up working really well. So any of the really bright outdoor shots, I used the lens, the 15 to 45 with the ND filter as much as I could. Honestly, I loved these lenses and I loved the camera, and I only bought the camera for $400 off of eBay a couple years ago. I never really thought that I would be using a Canon M50 for a documentary. Another tool that I brought with me was my LCD screen, the OC-T5 Plus, I believe. And the batteries that I picked up with it are just cheap Amazon batteries. I don't even think they have a name brand. They're definitely on the list of something I would do differently. And for audio, I had a Audio-Technica shotgun mic that I used. And also I used these Comica Bluetooth microphones, and I didn't really have much experience with them. It was something newer that I bought within the last year, and to kind of make other videos for YouTube. I never really end up using them, but I brought them with me and I'm so happy I did. I was blown away by the sound. And then also I think I convinced a couple of comedians to buy them after they saw the quality that I was getting out of these. I didn't bring much with me, but I did bring a monopod that I bought maybe like almost 10 years ago at Fry's Electronics. that they're not even open anymore. I bought it for like 15 bucks and it's the best $15 I've ever spent. I love it. It's super lightweight, but just having the M50 on a monopod and just interviewing the comedians, just really run and gun, I absolutely was very satisfied with the setup. But before I get into things that I would do differently, I do want to mention I love how the documentary came out. I love the interviews and I loved meeting the people and I loved doing it and the connections I made. And to be honest, it really inspired me to make more documentaries, which I am planning on doing this year and then in the coming years. And maybe sure, they'll just end up on YouTube, or maybe, you know, they'll just be small micro documentaries, but I love doing it. I don't really care about the viewership of it. I more just care about making that passion project. Okay, one thing I would definitely do differently is just have another camera with me. And it might be as simple as a little GoPro, or now I own two cameras. I have the Canon C100 and then I have the Canon M50. Just having another camera filming B-roll while I'm getting interviews would have been super helpful. Being one person and just running and gunning, it was tough. It was tough to get everything that I needed, and I knew that I just needed to shoot as much as I could, as much as possible, and then in the editing I can kind of decide more of what really needs to be saved. I know it was just me and it was a struggle, but I wish I got more interviews. I'm not an extrovert, you know, so I wish I was a little more upfront, open, bubbly to get the interviews from some of the comedians. I definitely made connections in the first couple of days that led to interviews, but there were some comedians that were only on the first half of the festival, and I wish that I got their interviews to also add in. The other thing is, again, money-wise, I wish that I brought a zoom lens, like a really good zoom lens, that I could have gotten like up close and personal from some of the shows that I felt a little more further away. You know, just having that 15 to 45 lens and that 40mm lens, I didn't get like, there's some shots that I wish I could get much closer in, but we're working in tight spots, and with the lenses that I had, some shots just didn't make sense. So if I had a zoom lens that I could have switched over to, that would have really opened up my opportunities in such a tight space. And also, everything's so quick. You're running from one show to another, so you gotta move fast. I also want to mention that I shot everything in 1080p. I wanted to save space on my memory cards. I knew that I was just going to be running and gunning, so I chose 1080p knowing that I was going to upload this to YouTube, and I also wanted to make it easy for me to edit and look through files, and I'm happy with that decision. Honestly, it turned out really nicely, and after some color grading and, you know, just having clean audio and beautiful shots, I don't think the 1080p takes anything away from something that could have been shot in 4K possibly, but that was definitely a decision I made, and I'm happy with it. But yeah, that's how I made my documentary with a micro budget, and I would love, if you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out. And of course, you can watch the documentary today on my YouTube channel. I would love for you to check it out and, you know, follow the comedians that are in that documentary, and I can't wait to see what they do this year at the festival. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. I know I'm still just a small channel figuring this all out, so every subscriber really does matter, and thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.